Hey guys, it's that time of year again, isn't it? Slugs. I hate those nasty things. You know, I should feel blessed because here in Oregon where we're at, we don't have as big of a problem as a lot of people do. I have some friends that live on the coast, and then I have some friends that live in Washington, and they have an incredibly difficult problem. So the problem that I have here is very small, and if I stay on top of it, I think that's the key is to just stay on top of them. If you start to see some, eradicate them right away and get them out of your garden so they don't breed. The way that I take care of them is I just build traps. I know a lot of people, they'll hand pick them and they'll take them, throw them to their chickens. And since right now I don't have any chickens anymore, I used to have chickens, but we're not dealing with that right now. So the way that I do it is I build a little trap. I have this little homemade trap that I make, and I think that this seems to work perfect for me. Now, there's one thing that if you look on the internet, there's a lot of people that are building these traps, and they're beer traps, is what they are. And they'll take a dish, and they'll kind of like dig a little hole in their bed, and they're just in their in their raised bed, not their bed they sleep. You know what I'm saying. I didn't even have to clarify that, did I? But anyways, they'll take it, and they'll put a little hole, and they'll set it in the hole so that it's almost soil level. So the slug will come along, it'll be attracted to the beer, and then it'll kind of drop into the beer and it'll drown. Now, that's worked for me in the past. It actually works really well. But I'm so tight that I refuse to buy beer for my slugs. Since I don't drink beer myself, I don't drink it, and I don't buy it for other people. I'm not going to buy it for my slugs. So I heard from a local garden group that people can use, just if they take water, like about a cup or so of water, and put a teaspoon of yeast in it and a teaspoon of sugar in it, stir it up, and then put that in the dish, that will attract them also, because I'm told that it's the yeast in the beer that they're attracted to, not the alcohol itself. So I don't think that the slugs are looking for a party. I think they're just looking for the yeast. And so what I'm going to try this year is I'm going to try the sugar, water, and yeast solution and see what I come up with. Now I mixed up a little solution here, and it's starting to foam pretty good. So there's some activity going on, and yeah, you definitely smell the yeast. So I'm going to give it a go. Now, there's one thing to note, that a lot of people, when they make these traps, they'll just set the open dish down in the garden, and then the problem with that is whenever it rains, it dilutes the beer, and then you have to keep adding more beer all the time. Now, I was at a garden shop, it was kind of like a nursery, but it was like a garden shop where you can buy all these little handmade, porcelain stuff and whatnot. And I saw this beer trap that had a lid on it and it had a hole in the side. So what I've done is after more research, I've come up with a different idea that I think is going to work just well. Because I've used the ceramic ones before, and they work wonderful. They work really good. But there is really no reason why you can't build your own that has a cover on it so the rain doesn't affect it. So what I've done is I've taken a butter dish, and now I took a hole saw and drilled 4 1.5-inch holes around toward the top. And then now you don't have to use a hole saw. Of course, you could just take 1.5 inches or so and just use a box knife if you're really careful, and you can cut the holes out. Now I don't know if these are a little bit bigger than the ones I had with the little porcelain traps. So, maybe 1 inch would be good, but I didn't have an inch hole saw. Well, I have one, I couldn't find it, and so lazy me didn't want to cut it out with a box knife, so I went the 1.5 inches. I'm going to give it a try. I'm fairly certain it's going to work. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fake beer, and I'm going to fill this up to just under the hole, the bottom of the hole, and then I will set this into the raised bed up to the bottom of the hole, and then put the lid on, and then we'll give it a try. And I think this is going to work just perfectly. So I'm going to set that in there and see how it works. And of course, what's going to happen. I'm going to put this in there, and then I'm not going to have any problems with slugs, because I'm not going to have any slugs around here, because I went through the process of doing this. But anyways, I've caught them in the past, and I'm pretty sure as the season progresses and as you know, we get our rains and things like that, I think the slugs are going to come out in full force. Okay, so there it is. I've set it down in, recessed it right up to the bottom of the hole, and poured my yeast solution in. And there's my top, and we'll give it a try. And I'm fairly certain this is going to work just as well as anything else that we can come up with. So, yeah, there's no reason to buy it. That's what my channel's all about, right, guys? Cheap. So, all right. Well, there's my version of a slug trap. So, thanks a lot for watching, guys. We'll catch y'all later. Be sure to stop over to growyourheirlooms.com, where we have podcasts, gardening Q&A, tips on year-round gardening, survival gardening, and current projects that are going on.